Hi boys and girls, welcome back to Children's Church Online. Today we're going to learn that patience is a fruit of the Spirit. Let's celebrate that God can grow patience in our lives. If you remember, we've kind of been talking about the fruits of the Spirit being on a tree. So here's my tree that I drew several weeks ago. And if you recall, the base of the tree and the roots are kind of our connection to God. It's how we can say that we are connected to Him through our friendship with Him. And then up here where the tree grows is all of the fruit. So I drew little hearts on there to represent all of the fruit. So the fruit that we're talking about today is going to be the fruit of patience. And that fruit comes directly from God and our relationship that we have with Him. In our Bible story today, we'll see what Jacob was willing to work for 7 years. That's a long wait, but patience is a fruit of the Spirit. So let's look in the Bible to find out how Jacob had patience. I want you to imagine right now that the room that you are sitting in is a complete disaster. It is a mess. There is stuff everywhere. Maybe that is the way the room is that you're in right now. And I want you to clean it up. But I do want to reward you after you've done all of that hard work. So if you will clean up all that mess, I will let you choose a fun activity. You can either hear me read the dictionary to you, or we can play a fun game of freeze dance. So, which would you rather do? If you clean up the room, would you rather have me read you the dictionary or play a game of freeze dance? I'm going to let you vote. Ready? If you want me to read the dictionary to you, raise your hand. Anyone? Dictionary? Fun? Okay. If you want to play freeze dance after you clean up the mess, raise your hand. Yes? That's what you're going for? Sounds like fun? Okay. So, if you are willing to clean up the entire mess, we'll play freeze dance. Ready? Okay. Go ahead. I want you to clean up the room that you're in. If it is actually messy, go ahead. Start cleaning it up. If it's not, I want you to pretend. I want you to get up, walk around the room, pretend you're tidying everything up, dust off the bookshelves, vacuum up the carpet or the hardwood floors. I want you to go around. I want you to make the room that you're in be sparkling clean. Keep going. I know you're working hard. You're doing a good job, and your patience is going to pay off because we're going to play that fun dance game, right? Are you almost done? Okay, you good? All right, come back to your seat. You did a nice job cleaning up. I appreciate that. And so will those at your home. So, just as promised, I am now going to read the dictionary to you. Okay? So, the first definition I'm going to read to you is that of a cat. A cat is a noun. It's a small, domesticated carnivore. It's bred in a number of varieties. And the word cat can also be a person, especially a man. It can also be a type of jazz music. As a verb, it can mean to flog with a cat o' nine tail, or to hoist an anchor and secure to a cat head. Interesting. And so let's see what the definition of a dog looks like as compared to a cat. A dog is a domesticated canid, bred in many varieties. Anything from the dog family, having prominent canine teeth, and in the wild state, a long and slender muzzle, a deep-chested, muscular body, a bushy tail, and large ears. Any various animal resembling a dog. As a verb, dogged, dogging can mean to follow or track like a dog, especially with a hostile intent, like a hound. To drive or chase with a dog or dogs. Interesting. Yeah. So, how do you feel about the prize that I gave you? You did such a good job cleaning up that mess that I just read for you 2 interesting definitions from the dictionary. Not impressed? Wait, that wasn't the prize you chose. Oops. What I just did to you is a lot like what happened in today's Bible story. You see, there was a guy, his name was Jacob, and he fell in love with a girl, and her name was Rachel. And Jacob worked out a deal with Rachel's dad so he could marry her. Listen to what the Bible tells us. Genesis chapter 29, beginning at verse 18. It says, Jacob was in love with Rachel and said, I'll work for you 7 years in return for your younger daughter Rachel. Her father said, it's better that I give her to you than to some other man. Stay here with me. So I want you to turn to the person next to you, shake hands. You're making a deal, right? Jacob's father said, you work for me for 7 years. You can marry my daughter Rachel. They made the deal. 7 years is a long time. Think about it. 7 years is most of your life, or maybe longer than your life for some of you. And just think how old you will be 7 years from now. Do the math. How old are you now plus 7? Does that seem like a long ways off? Yeah, right? That's a long time for Jacob to be patient, waiting to marry the girl that he loves. If you had to do extra chores for the next 7 years, what would you want in return? Jacob really wanted to marry Rachel, but he had to be patient. Patience is a fruit of the Spirit. God gave Jacob the patience to work hard for 7 long years. That seemed like only a few days to him. And finally, the wedding day came. He must have felt so excited, so happy. His reward would finally come from all of his hard work. Well, after the wedding, Jacob realized that Rachel's dad had tricked him. Instead of marrying Rachel, Jacob had married her big sister, Leah. The Bible doesn't tell us exactly how he didn't know that it was Rachel instead of Leah, but maybe she was wearing a veil, like a thing that was covering her face. Or maybe it was really dark out. Maybe the 2 sisters looked very much alike and had very similar size and build or color of hair, so it was easy to get them mixed up. But either way, he didn't realize it until it was too late. He had already married Leah. So right now, I want everybody to put on your surprised face. He married the wrong sister. So earlier in our lesson, I tricked you and I gave you the wrong prize, right? Even though you'd worked hard to clean up the room that you're sitting in, I read the dictionary to you instead of playing a dance freeze game. So does that help you a little bit to understand how Jacob felt? At least a little bit. Now remember, he'd worked for 7 years doing that work. So a little bit different, but you get the idea. Patience is a fruit of the Spirit. And boy, was Jacob patient. He worked hard for those 7 years, waiting for what he wanted, only to be tricked. But Rachel's dad worked out another deal. He told Jacob that he could marry Rachel the next week if he promised to work another 7 years after that. So let's make a similar deal. If you promise to clean up the room that you're in over the next week, if mom or dad say, hey, time to clean up the toy room, time to clean up your bedroom, time to clean up, then we'll play the Dance Freeze game now. Sound like a deal? Yes? Turn to the person next to you and shake on it. You promise when it's time to clean up this week, you will clean up and we'll play a game, right? Okay. So you'll want to stand up and get your dancing feet ready. I have some music ready. And the way that we play is when the music starts, you dance. When it stops, you stop. Okay?
It's raining tacos from out of the sky. Tacos, no need to ask why. Just open your mouth and close your eyes. It's raining tacos.
Freeze. Are you in a good stance? You want to keep dancing? All right, here we go.
It's raining tacos out in the street. Tacos, all you can eat.
Freeze. Want to keep dancing? All right, here we go.
Lettuce and shells, cheese and meat. It's raining tacos. Yum, 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 it's like a treat.
All right, freeze. All right, good job. Everybody come back to your seat and let's wrap up our story for today. So we're learning about patience. It is a fruit of the Spirit. You had to be patient and wait for dancing, right? Then you had to be patient with me when I tricked you. Being patient isn't easy, but there's good news. We don't have to just try to be more patient. When we stay close friends with Jesus, patience is a gift He gives us through the Holy Spirit. Patience is a fruit of the Spirit. He gave Jacob patience, and He can give us patience too. All right, so we are going to do an object lesson today that will help us to see what patience might look like. So earlier, I was reading the dictionary to you, and I was reading you some terms that you probably already knew what they meant. But now I'm going to say a word for you that maybe you've not heard before. It is chromatography. It is a Greek word that means color writing. So I am going to write with some markers on a coffee filter and then wait with patience for colors to change or be revealed. So here's what you'll need if you want to do this at home. A coffee filter, some markers, a pair of scissors, a clear cup with a small amount of water in the bottom, and some paper clips. Now what you'll want to do is take your coffee filter and cut it into some strips. You'll need the number of strips for the number of markers that you're planning to use. Each one will be separate. And I found that actually, when I did this at home, the strips don't even need to be as long, at least my coffee filter is kind of on the larger size. So this size of a strip is plenty big to do this. Once you have your strips, I'm going to do this over this so it doesn't get onto the table. You'll take a marker, and it does need to be a like a washable marker, not a permanent marker, or it won't work right. And draw a line, maybe about an inch up the side, like that. Not too difficult. So there's a blue one, and I just chose some very random colors here. A pinkish reddish one, and a black. Okay, there we go. Set those out of the way. Then you will take your little coffee filter strip and dip it down into the water so that it just touches the water. And then I use a paper clip to kind of hold it. Whoops, mine bent up. Hang on a second. You don't want it to bend up on you. You want it to stay down in the water. But I kind of used a paper clip to hold it there for me. And if you got a little peek of that, you might have seen that it's already starting to change. So let me clip these other two on here. And then with patience, we can watch to see if we notice anything happening. Remember, this is chromatography, color writing, so to speak. Now, if you look in my cup, I don't know if I tilt it too much, it won't be in the water anymore. You can see that the water is actually drawing up the filter till it reaches where the marker line is, and then it's actually totally distorting the marker and separating. The black is actually kind of interesting because I can actually see green at the top. It doesn't even just stay black. So we're gonna let this patiently keep going, doing its thing for a little bit and see what it does. And we'll move on to something else. And then at the end of the lesson, I'll bring this back into the picture and we can see if over the next few minutes it does any more changing. But it's a pretty cool thing to see how it slowly changes that single line that I drew on there to start with. And I wish I could explain the exact science behind it to you, but I can't. I'm really not that smart when it comes to these things, but it's a pretty neat experience to see. And by practicing your patience of waiting and watching, you're practicing strengthening one of those fruits of the Spirit that you have with God. So while that continues, I'm just going to set it off to the side. We are learning about patience, the fruit of the Spirit, and sometimes it's just really hard to wait. And is there something that you have had a hard time waiting for? I think for me, probably one of the most difficult things to be patient with is food. If I'm hungry, I really want food. And the more hungry I get, the more grouchy I get, and it's easy to make me mad. And I'm wondering if any of you feel that way sometimes. When you're hungry, you just want to eat. And it's really hard if mom or dad says, I'm sorry, it's not ready yet, or if you're at a restaurant and you're waiting for them to bring your food. That's when I have a really hard time being patient. When do you have a hard time being patient? Waiting can be hard. And we're going to watch a video, and it is with our friend Awesome Andy, who doesn't like waiting either. And we're going to see how he solves his patience problem. So let's take a look at Let It Snow.
Welcome to the Awesome Andy Show, the internet show where we dare to build bigger and better than any other internet show. A lot of you watched last summer when I built the rocket-powered Tri-Ski Scooter. Well, as we learned, the rocket-powered Tri-Ski Scooter doesn't really work without a lot of snow. For all of you who may have built my rocket-powered Tri-Ski Scooter last summer, I had no idea that the rocket-powered Tri-Ski Scooter was more of a rocket-powered catapult when not used on snow. Well, today I'm going to do something about that.
Hello, friends! So, what are we up to today, Andy?
Well, remember last summer when I built that rocket-powered Tri-Ski Scooter?
I sure do. Who would have known that it wouldn't work without snow? Well, I'm glad you had your helmet on.
Huh, me too. We need snow to prove that the rocket-powered tri-ski scooter will work.
Andy, there really isn't a lot we can do about that. It hasn't snowed yet, and we'll just have to be patient.
Patience, Smatians. We need snow, and we're gonna get snow now.
Andy, I'm not sure if that's such a good idea. Last summer you tried your scooter and you almost launched yourself to Oklahoma.
See, that's because I didn't have a plan, Cammie. Today, I have a plan, and it's gonna be great.
Andy has a plan? Why am I even more worried now?
Oh, don't you worry. It's gonna be totally fine.
All right, let's get it over with. Let's hear the plan.
We're gonna make our own snow. I went onto the old interwebs and bought myself an Awesome Andy's Mr. Blizzy, which came with these great flavors like cherry and grape. I also ordered some ice on the internet.
Okay, that's not such a bad idea. I mean, I can't see how it would hurt you, and I mean, it may take a lot of ice, but let's give it a shot.
Let's make our own snow.
1, 2, 3, 4.
And we're done. Wow. That took me forever, and we're all out of ice. It's kind of disappointing.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's going to work. But look on the bright side, we get to have snow cones.
Oh, you're right, Cammie. This is the best experiment ever. Oh, brain freeze. Oh. I had an idea when I had the brain freeze. Look, we need snow. So let's build a pneumatic cannon to launch some of this shaved ice into the clouds. It'll cool down the clouds and remind them how to snow.
I don't think that's how weather works, Andy.
Oh, forget weather. We need snow, and I'm gonna make it snow.
Wow, that looks pretty impressive.
Right?
How does it work?
Check this out. So this chamber here gets filled with air from this bicycle pump. I fill up the chamber with air, load some shaved ice into the top of this, then turn this valve, and the compressed air will launch the snow into the sky, making it snow.
I'm pretty sure that's not how weather works, but let's give it a try.
Hey, that's the spirit, Cammie. Let's go.
I'll just fill this with some shaved ice,
I'll fill up the chamber.
and I'll run for safety.
Cammie? Science. It's ready. Now I just need to flip the switch. Let it snow. Cammie, you were right. That's not how weather works.
That's all right, Andy. It will snow. We just have to be patient.
But I want to ride my rocket-powered tri-ski scooter now.
Andy, you always come up with great ideas. Sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. But what's so great about you is that you keep coming up with new ideas. And sometimes a great idea won't work because it's just not the right time. Have patience, my friend. Snow will come. But for now, let's just trust God and build fun stuff that we can use right now.
You're such a good friend, Cammie, and you're right, I will be patient. It'll be best to wait for the snow. But while we wait, I've got a great idea for the next show. Join us next time for when we build a pneumatic cannon that will allow Cammie and I to play ping pong from across the city. It'll be ballistic. Cammie, where are you going? Come on, I promise it'll be safe this time. Ooh, I like it.
If you could make it snow right away, what would you want to do in the snow? Sled riding, build a snowman, build a snow fort, eat the snow. Andy wanted snow so he could use his rocket-powered tri-ski scooter invention, and he wanted to do it right now. But his friend Cammie said sometimes a great idea won't work because it's just not the right time. Andy came up with an idea for another fun invention while he waits for snow. Did you think that that was actually going to work? The air and then the snow cone ice at the top and then up it. I'm like, no, this is not going to work, Andy. We don't always get to do what we want right when we want to, but patience is a fruit of the Spirit. So God can help us to wait patiently. Let's take a look and see if let me make sure I'm saying the right word here. Oops, wrong page. Here it is. Chromatography, our color writing, has done any more changes. Oh, look at the black. The black, I think, is probably the most impressive to me. The reddish pink and the blue just kind of stretched and growed and made a pale looking color, but the black is really streaky, and I'm surprised to see that it looks so blue at the top when it was a black marker. So that's pretty cool. You could try that at home. You should try lots of different colors. I only chose those 3 random colors, but it would be interesting to see what other colors would look like. Or what if you did 2 colors on one line? They might run together and make some cool tie-dyed looking things. So practice that at home. Try it out. All right, patience is a fruit of the Spirit. We can wait quietly for God to work in our lives because our victory comes from Him. Don't forget, you made me a promise. This week, you will be cleaning up those messes as soon as someone asks you to, or as soon as you're done playing, you're going to follow up your end of the bargain and clean up those messes and be patient, right? All right, we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.